Alright, so welcome back to another video. This video is going to be a review on the Dragon Generations past forms. I figured that since the path update has been out for a while, and one, I've gotten a lot of forms, and two, past 2 comes out, you know, in April. I figured I'd do a small little personal review on the forms, the good, the bad, and the downright extortion. And yeah, that's really just how I'm gonna do this. But here, take note that I'm only going to go over the forms that I have already gotten and not every single form path in the game, because some of them just don't interest me, or dear God, I don't even want to touch some of the other forms based off of what I already have. I will be grading these forms from A to F based on the obtainment method, the appearance, the time taken to achieve, the passives and techniques, and finally, the perfected stats. Note that the perfected stats only mean that the form's original perfected stats and not the limit broken versions. With that, let's begin with Super Saiyan God is a Saiyan form with godly ki that is obtained through either training with a godly being or getting 5 Saiyans to pour their energy into one Saiyan in order to give them the form. In Dragon Generations, this form is obtained through a special wish from the North Earth Dragon Balls called I wish to learn about the Super Saiyan God. Once the player clicks that wish, they are locked into the path and must gather 5 other Saiyans, Kai Saiyans do count, and have them use the move Spirit Wind on them in order to get the form. The Saiyan takes on a red-haired, fiery look that has an orange fiery aura to boot. You know, Super Saiyan God. It's really simple. If you have the North Earth Dragon Balls already stored up, then you can gain this form relatively quickly, and hopefully you are in the Dragon Generations Discord where you can ask for help with achieving the form. The God Ki Path form passive, Saiyan God Ki, gives the player a 15% straight damage buff and a 20% chance to cut any damage in half. That's only by blocking, by the way. Also, if the God Ki Saiyan blocks an attack, half of their health will be restored. This does not proc on Barrage Ki skills and does not apply if the attack is deflected. It is only blocked. I want you to take note of that. Only blocked. This, alongside the passes of not having your ki be sensible by non-God Ki users, is also a really good plus for God Ki Path. For God Ki Path people. The technique, God Bind and God Regeneration, can be purchased at 875 for 100,000 Zenny each. God Bind is a counter that stuns the opponent in place, allowing for an easy follow-up or making the opponent waste a defense bar. And God Regeneration regenerates 15% of a player's health within 10 seconds and has a cooldown of 90 seconds. The perfected stats are B in melee attack, C in rush attack, A in ki blast, A in ki attack, B in stamina, A in ki type, and S in defense. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the grading. The obtainment method is very simple, but really depends on the player having Dragon Balls on standby, and they really need to either have 5 different friends who are all Saiyans, or they need to use an external source like Discord in order to achieve the form. So, the obtainment method gets a B. The appearance is also very simple, and the hair shade can vary based on the selected body type, as shown here. Based on the accuracy to Super Saiyan God and the ways to get the different shades of hair, I'd give the appearance an A. Time taken to achieve is also tied to having the Dragon Balls ready and using Discord to get help, so that's also a B. The passives and techniques are very versatile and can be used really well defensively. So, because of its defensive capabilities, I scored the passives and techniques a B, says there's really no offensive point to them. Finally, the perfected stats. I believe that with everything here, the stats on Super Saiyan God are really, really great. They lead more into key damage overall, but they aren't slouches when it comes to melee as well. So that's kind of just what Saiyans are. So, in all honesty, Super Saiyan Gods really thrive as balance builds. As rare as they are, they can reliably run with almost 0 issues. That, plus an S tier defense in the stat, and the perfected stats get an A. Overall, the form gets a B. It's very good defensively and has balanced stats for a path form, so honestly, it's really ideal if you want to go for this instead of, well, let's say, good lord, Super Saiyan 4. Where do I begin? Let's just start with you having to master the Great Ape transformation. Now, that part isn't too difficult nowadays, especially with the mastery points from bosses and mentors. You can easily get 4 mastery points from doing like a fucking raid, like Kid Buu or Cell or whoever else.
The real issue comes in when you have to go find the parts for the Bloodswave machine.
Specifically the carbon wires and the particle accelerator. These things are so fucking small that you won't be able to find them unless you start blowing up the surrounding area, scorched earth style. And even then, they'll just despawn because, oops, you took too long to find them. Now you must wait an hour. Fuck you.
The satellite and the battery are breaths of fresh air due to how easy it is to find them, but that's not the biggest issue. Next, you must become a Super Great Ape, which is just Great Ape, but Super Saiyan. Now, you think that since you already have Super Saiyan mastered at this point, and Great Ape mastered at this point, you can just go Super Saiyan after transforming into the Great Ape, right? You'd have to sit in Great Ape and wait for a chance to transform into a Golden Great Ape. Yup, RNG. So, if you are unlucky as fuck you. Should have chosen Godhood instead of, fucking monkey powers. But let's say you finish that and you get Golden Great Ape. Go master that, right? If you don't have mastery points or you don't have the fucking time chamber, get ready to go fight Hirudegan for about like an hour and a half or 2 hours, like I did. But luckily nowadays, you ain't gotta go do that shit. So, you got the 4 mastery points, yada yada yada, blah 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 blah.
Put those shits in there.
Now you gotta go fight Great Ape Baby. Because both of you and Goku are fucking idiots and you forgot to turn off the Bloodswave machine. Once you beat him, congratulations,
you're still not done.
Guess what? It's time for more RNG! Fuck. God damn.
This time, you must sit in Golden Great Ape for 30 minutes to an hour for a 5% chance, I believe. That's what I believe. In order to turn into a Super Saiyan 4. Still don't know if I'm correct on that percentage, but it's still a fucking percentage to transform after everything you've went through. So, yeah. Congratulations. Once that's done, you're a fuck-ass monkey with red fur, red eyeliner, and no fucking self-control. But, getting the fucking obtainment method out of the way, I can't even lie, Super Saiyan 4 is mad fucking tough. You can also get the Daima version if you have a specific body type and you didn't fucking do the Daima story and wish yourself back to, being an adult. But who fucking cares about that shit? The form honestly takes patience and RNG to get and can range from taking 10 hours when it first came out or a couple of days if you're just straight up not lucky. The passive combat ready is straight up random dirtbag crits. Anytime you land a crit from in any form, by the way, this is not just regulated to Super Saiyan 4. This is any form, base, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 2, whatever.
You get a 2% overall boost damage, stacking up to 60% for Pure Saiyans and 45% for Half Saiyans. This stays until you eventually kick the bucket. Sure, it can also go down by 5% every 15 minutes, but as long as you're in a fight, or God forbid you're being teamed, that shit is negated based on how many crits and kills you're getting. The technique known as Full Power Super Saiyan 4 doesn't make fighting these guys any fucking better. At level 875, you can buy this technique for 100,000 Zenny, and it gives you a straight 25% damage buff and a straight 25% damage reduction right after activation. It also has iframes, so it can't be interrupted, so you can just pop that shit raw mid-fight and you're fine. The technique does have a cooldown of 120 seconds, because let's be honest, if that technique had like a short-ass fucking cooldown, dear God, people would be fucking complaining. Getting away from that, here are the perfected stats. A in melee, A in rush attack, B in normal ki blasts, C in ki attacks, A in stamina, B in ki type, and S in defense. Wow, who knew the fucking offensive juggernaut path in Dragon Generations had stats favoring melee? Now, it's time for the grading.
The attainment method is some hot ass and is genuinely frustrating if you are unlucky and impatient. The sole reliance on RNG to get what you need for this form is what brings it down. Sure, it's worth it in the end, but I'm still giving it a fucking D for the attainment method. Pure Saiyans shouldn't even need to get the Blood Swing machine if they have their tails already. I will die on that hill. The appearance though, whoo boy, that shit is gas! Not only do you get the base Super Saiyan 4, you also get your first shade, and your eye color can change based on your body type. Hell, you can even get a new transformation cutscene once you perfect Super Saiyan 4. The glaze is insane. The appearance, it gets an A. Easy A. Now, the time taken to achieve. That's what brings this form down. You need patience, and you need luck to get this form quickly. And I put quickly in quotation marks because based off of the Blood Swing machine items alone, getting this form is going to take you a couple hours. So yeah, that's another D. The passives and techniques make Saiyans who go down the perma path living, breathing, black flashing perk monkeys. If you don't kill them quickly, you lose the fucking fight. This gets an A. The perfected stats also get an A due to how busted your damage can be even if you don't stamina break and just crit farm. With that, Super Saiyan 4 as a form gets a C. The payoff is great, but goddamn, this thing's being luck-based and unnecessary and having the unnecessary scavenger hunt is really what brings this shit down. I love this one to death, but man, fuck, that is so annoying. But now that we've gotten the simple obtainment of Super Saiyan God and the asinine obtainment of Super Saiyan 4 out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to what I consider the middleman. Legendary Super Saiyan, or LSSJ if you're just lazy, is the roided out, green-haired rage monster of a form that you can get by speaking to Broly and Paragus on South Earth. Paragus, after shitting himself, will tell you to master the grade 8 form, which is easy because of, mastery points. And after that, he will tell you to spar with Broly to be able to control your energy. If you lose the battle, you will transform into Bio Broly, but if you win, you unlock the Rascal transformation. After you master that, Paragus will tell you to go buy the Broly crown for 100k Zenny. Putting that on will give you a new Super Saiyan look with Z Broly's blue hair restrained form for Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3. Paragus will then tell you to either sit around, or fight, or charge your energy for a while until you eventually become a legendary Super Saiyan. This really doesn't have RNG, it's just a time limit. So it's more so just a time limit around an hour, so it's not as bad as Super Saiyan 4, but you're still waiting. The appearance is, well, a lime green hair with whited out pupils and a green aura to boot. You also grow to a size that makes Shaq look like a fucking point guard. This form doesn't really take that long to achieve. Outside of the 40-minute to an hour wait time and the Broly crown that you have to get, this form is relatively easy to get if you don't suck at boss fighting. The passive for this path is called Overload. It's relatively simple. Max Charge gives you a 10% damage reduction and has a 30% chance to give you Hyper Armor. Oh, also it passively charges your ultimate bar, 2% every second. Oh, and by the way, Max Charge is the dark blue key bar, not the light blue one. The technique is literally just Super Saiyan 2, but legendary. You can get it at level 875 for 100,000 Zenny each, and it applies the following: 30% damage increase and a 10% damage reduction for 60 seconds. The perfected stats are S in melee, A in rush attack, C in ki blast, A in ki attack, C in stamina, B in ki type, and S in defense. Now, on to the grading. The obtainment method is very simple, with only one boss fight and a waiting game that you must deal with after buying an accessory, so it gets an A for its simplicity. The appearance is really just legendary Super Saiyan, simple design, extremely hard to fuck up. However, no pupils while having this form completely limit broken, while having pupils for its version of perfected Super Saiyan when you combine it with Raffle brings it down to a B. Also, not having any type of different shading on for the body types and shit, like Super Saiyan God, that also brings it down to a B, but whatever. Point is, they really dropped the ball on that one. The time taken to achieve is perfectly fucking fine. Literally, the only reason that why this would take long is because you either failed to beat the Broly boss because you had a skill issue, or you were too poor to buy Broly crown off rip, so you had to go and grind that Zenny. It gets a B. The technique and passives are really good. Honestly, some of my favorites. The fact that you have a chance to get Hyper Armor when you charge all the way to max is actually kind of crazy. as well as getting a boost and pass for ult bar charge. As well as getting a boost and a passive ult bar charge? Yeah, A, no question. The perfected stats are kinda all over the fucking place. I'm guessing it's meant to signify how uncontrollable the transformation really is, but from a gameplay perspective, it's kinda whack. This gets a C. Overall, Legendary Super Saiyan gets a B. With that out of the way, let's actually get into a form that is technically a Saiyan, but it's also not at the same time. Saiyan Deity, or Divine Saiyan, is a Kai path where you channel your inner Goku Black and rob a random Saiyan for their body, inheriting all rags, riches, and or bitches that come with it. Oh, who the fuck am I kidding? This is Roblox. You ain't getting no goddamn bitches. Anyway, to obtain this form, you must talk to Zamasu in Future Earth all the way by Goku's house. Once doing that, you must kill Goku. If you don't have a skill issue and some sensu beans, you'll be fine. Afterwards, you must go to Beerus' planet and find a time ring. And just note, when Zamasu says that this damn ring is well hidden, he fucking means it. Anyway, after finding that piece of shit, you must go and find and kill 15 Saiyans and 5 Frost Demons. And while the Saiyans are easy because, you know, they're fucking Saiyans, you'll find them motherfuckers anywhere. Finding a Frost Demon, let alone a Frost Demon that is either weak enough for you to kill with no issues or one that will let you kill them, is so fucking rare it could take you hours or even days to do those guys. After doing that, guess what? You're still not done. Then you must go and gather the 7 Black Star Dragon Balls to wish for a Saiyan body with the wish I wish for a body of a Saiyan. Where you, with no surprise, rob a random Saiyan for their body in broad daylight in the streets of Baltimore, allowing you to customize a Saiyan body while keeping the passive of the Kai race, which is having a damage boost on key blade weapon M1s. But guess what? We ain't done yet! Now that you're a Kai in a Saiyan's body, Zamasu tells you to go kill Goasu because he's a petty bitch and he doesn't want to go kill Goasu himself. His boss fight's pretty easy, so if you have a skill issue and fail it, you just honestly shouldn't have a fucking Saiyan body, you piece of shit. But after that, congratulations, you're now a Saiyan deity. The form is kind of just like a dark Super Saiyan God. It's complete with a dark red wine-colored form and dark rosé wine-colored ore to go with it. This form can take ages to get. As much as I love it, it can take forever to get this shit. Honestly, this thing can take longer than Super Saiyan 4, simply because of the time ring being well hidden and as well as like the spawn locations being revealed. That doesn't matter. As well as having to hunt down Saiyan and Frieza players and hunting down the Space Dragon Balls. If you think the Super Saiyan 4 path is hard, at least this one doesn't rely on RNG. The passives on this though, oh boy, these passives. You've got the passives of a Kai, which is, as I've mentioned before, key damage with M1s with a Keyblade, and you've got the passive called Saiyan Rage, where the more damage you take, the more damage you do. You do 1.5 damage at 50% health, and 2.24 damage at 25% health. Also, for reference, you now have the stat alignments of a Saiyan, not a Kai. Just you know, have that for thought. Just remember that. The technique Azure Energy Blade is literally Goku Black's Keyblade. With it, you do 15% more M1 damage and you replace an ultimate move with the move Divine Lasso. If you've seen Dragon Ball Super, you know what the fuck Divine Lasso is, there's no need to explain it. It also has a cooldown of 90 seconds. Saiyan Deity's perfected stats are A in melee attack, A in rush attack, B in Ki Blast, C in Ki attack, B in Ki type, and S in defense. Now, it's time for the grading. The obtainment method, hard as shit. God damn. But it's honestly, in my opinion, worth a lot more than Super Saiyan 4 in terms of difficulty. Especially when it comes to RNG. Which this path has honestly none of. Since, you know, the time ring has a guaranteed spawn time and does not despawn, and the Dragon Balls can now be obtained without any kind of duplications. This gets an A. The appearance is literally dark rose wine-colored Super Saiyan God. I would give it an S if I was biased, but I wanted this to be fair. So, A. The same things that I said for the obtainment method can also be applied to the time taken to complete this path, so it also gets an A. The passives and technique push this form through the fucking roof. I could yap about how good this form is, but we still have a lot more to get through, so to save time, it gets an A. As for the perfected stats, this is so good. A's and B's across the board except for that fucking C and key attack. The perfected stats get an A. This is the first time that a form has received a perfect score. A's across the board. Truly, this form has scored a score worthy of a god. Now then, it's time to move on to the next path. Towa Absorption is a form from Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 where Mira decided he wanted to become a white Super Saiyan 4 by absorbing his own creator. In order to get this form in DBOG, you have to do 3 boss fights consisting of Mask Bardock, Towa, and Mira himself, as well as finding the Toki Toki Egg. Now, while finding the Toki Toki Egg is annoying because of its huge spawn time gap and small window where you have to find it, the bosses are pretty easy. The appearance is literally a white Super Saiyan 4 body with the Timebreaker symbol across your chest, completed with a glorious white sparkling aura, and it's really cool looking. The time taken to achieve all depends on how long it takes for you to find the Toki Toki Egg. Hopefully it won't take you long because the spawn time and locations are all known across the community, so all you really have to do is ask someone where the locations are and you're all good. The passives and technique are what really make this form a monster. The passive ability, Touch of Corruption, allows you to inflict corruption damage on your enemies, or what I like to call, giving your opponents demonic cancer. Doing this makes your opponents do 15% less damage and take 15% more damage for 10 seconds. This applies to literally everything, so this is a 15% true debuff. The technique is called the Timebreaker Mark. It is an unblockable lock-on rush move that applies a 25% debuff to ki and stamina to your opponent for 30 whole seconds. The perfected stats are actually kind of nice as well. We have A in melee, A in rush attack, C in ki blast, B in ki attack, A in stamina, B in ki type, and S in defense. Now it's time to grade. The form's obtainment method is honestly one of the simplest ones, with it being strictly boss fights and 1 item hunt. For its simplicity, I would give it an A, but that Toki Toki Egg was really annoying to find before the locations were all known. So it gets knocked down to a B. Time taken also gets a B for the same reasons, because it ties into the obtainment method. The passives get an A, simply because when you really look at it, this form is a lot more dangerous than Super Saiyan 4 because the criticals or stat or like debuffs do not go away upon death. They just don't. The looks also get an A, simply because it's a Timebreaker version of Super Saiyan 4 that is almost as good, or hell, it might even be better in some cases, as Super Saiyan 4. The perfected stats are really the same as Super Saiyan 4, so they also get an A. It's the way that these stats are really identical to Super Saiyan 4's, with only the ki blast and the ki attack stats being swapped. This is really dangerous. Overall, this path gets a B. This is like Super Saiyan 4, but it's demonic and it's 10 times easier to get. But let's go ahead and cover the form that Mira had before Absorber Towa. Villainous mode, or Towa's demonic fentanyl, is an underrated general path that is very simple to get. After talking to Towa in the Demon Realm, she tells you to go fight Goku to show that you'll be able to even control yourself when she gives you this stuff. After doing that, Towa tells you to go kill 15 players that are level 200 and above. You can simply do this by hopping from future Earth servers and one-shotting some poor saps for the kills. Asking permission in this sense is honestly a waste of time. After doing all that, you have to kill Villainous mode fighters that are also in the Demon Realm. Do not be like me and assume that they are not in the demon realm, as you will run into a set that is way stronger, but will not count towards the step, as the quest will disappear once you leave the demon realm. Finally, you gotta go and fight and beat Mira. After that, Towa injects you with the demon fentanyl and you become a purple-eyed, raging Flora crackhead. Alongside the purple eyes, you also gain a dark purple and black aura with black lightning surrounding you as well. A relatively simple look. The time taken to achieve this path is really quick, considering that the player kills that you have to get are honestly just low level and really won't fight back because you'll be killing them too quickly. The passive and technique are also really good for a general path. The passive, No Control, makes you immune to debuffs. This means you are immune to the effects of paralysis, Bobbity whispering slurs into your ear, and any damage over time effects. The ability Outrage is a simple, temporary 50% damage buff that you can apply every 60 seconds. And that is hella good for a fucking general path. Like, dog! But getting onto the perfected stats, we've got an A for melee, a B for rush attack, an A for ki blast, a B for ki attack, an A for stamina, a C for ki type, and an S for defense. Now then, it's time to be grading. The simplicity for this path is astounding. The only real trouble that you might run into is doing the player kills if they have somebody helping them, but that's like a 50-50 chance. It could be an extra kill, so take the risk. A. The look is very simple but kind of underwhelming. The stage 1 of Villainous mode is nothing compared to stage 2, which is coming in patch 2 in April. So hopefully this video will be out by then, but that's neither here nor there. For appearance, this gets a C. Moving on. The time taken needs no real explanation. It ties into the attainment method, which is really quick, so it gets an A. The passives are hella underrated, and this is the only path that can use Majin Mark without needing to worry about you gaining a headache from Bobbity. A. The stats are also an A, as they have A's and B's across the board except for that C and Ki type, but that really doesn't matter to you when you're beating the dog shit out of your opponent harder than a Florida crackhead. Overall, this gets a B. Almost a perfect record. Almost. But that C in appearance just brings it down hard. Hopefully that changes with the second form. But let's go ahead and talk about one of the forms from one of my favorite Dragon Ball video game characters. Alright, so getting Majinization is kind of weird. First off, you gotta go do a raid where you fight Gohan and Piccolo. But after you do that, you gotta go fight Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks. So have fun with doing that, because you gotta beat them in 10 minutes. Did I forget to mention that every single path raid is timed? Yes? Well, now you know. Anyway, assuming that you managed to beat that raid in time, it's time to do everyone's favorite activity in this game. Hunting and pecking. This time you have to kill 10 Majin players that are over level 100. You think that's simple? Well, guess what? Running into a Majin player is like finding a rare Pokemon out in the wild. Even rarer are the ones that want to help you do anything in this game. So good luck on finding 10 of those niggas. If you manage to get past that step, congratulations. You will now be extorted for money in exchange for sweets. You now have to buy Android 21 100 cakes. And depending on the RNG, this could cost you a whopping 400 bands worth of Zenny. Assuming that you are rich and lucky, Android 21 will tell you to step into the pod to modify you to make you like her. After that, congratulations, you now have Majinization. Despite the fuck-ass obtainment method, this form actually looks good. White hair, Majin pink skin, and a tail to boot. The time taken to achieve this form can honestly take a long fucking time. Because not only do you have to kill 10 Majin players, you also have to be rich as fuck, and just in case Android 21 wants 400 cakes. RNG is beautiful, ain't it? Goddamn. The passive is nice as well. Majin Hunger allows you to absorb, to use the absorption and regeneration skills that come with like normal Majin. So the technique though, the technique is really fucking pointless. Candy Cravings is a power-up skill that restores 25% of a player's stamina. A stamina regen skill on an android. You see what I'm getting at here? The perfected stats are actually kind of good though. We got an A in melee attack, a B in rush attack, a C in ki blast, an S in ki attack, an A in stamina, a C in ki type, and an S in defense. Now onto the grading. The obtainment method gets a C simply because you need to go 10 Majin players, which are rare to find, and Android 21 has a chance to extort you out of damn near 500,000 Zenny worth of cakes. The appearance gets a B because, well, it's Android 21's Majin form. I'm not Bobby, who is unapologetically biased towards anything Android 21 related, and give it an A, simply because I prefer the evil version and the cell absorber forms over the straight up good version. It just lacks that oomph that the other forms will give. Time also gets a C. It's not Super Saiyan 4 levels of RNG and it's not Super Saiyan 4 levels of RNG and time wasting, but it's damn near close if you can't find any Majin players in a reasonable time. And you have to factor in that the Zenny you'll have to grind for if you don't have enough to satisfy Android 21 with the first 100 cakes. If I were to grade the passives and the technique separately, I'd give the passives a C and the technique a fucking F. The passives gets a C because it's just the exclusive race skills of the Majins, and the technique gets an F simply because as an android, you don't need a stamina regen skill. So I'll compromise and give it a D for this section. The perfected stats get a B. They're really good outputs for a balanced android build, and the S in key attacks allows you to blindly use any key move and have them be reliable. Overall, this form gets a D. Gonna be completely honest, this path and form got shafted for past part 1. I only got this form because I wanted to make an Android 21 slot, and I'm very disappointed in how this path was handled. Hopefully this path will get some justice in past part 2. Now let's move on to the next form. Alright, so to get Golden Frieza or the evolution path, you will have to talk to Frieza in Otherworld, where he'll tell you to kill 20 Angels of Hell. Once that's done, you gotta go kill 40 players that are over level 100. Finally, once you're done going on a killing spree of low levels, you gotta fight Frieza himself in order to get the form. It's relatively simple. The appearance is cool and all with you keeping your head gem colors and becoming gold. However, your skin being hard locked to a light purple color really just kills most of the aesthetics. The time taken to get this path is extremely quick. The only thing that would probably take you some time, aka 10 minutes max, is you hunting and pecking 40 level 100 civilians. But even then, you can just go to Namek and be a piece of shit. Now onto the passive and technique. Dear God! The passive Prodigy makes your Ki Blast damage scale by 25% of your melee stats. This really doesn't matter unless you get HTC training on your Frost Demon, because you really shouldn't put that many points in your melee anyway. But other than that, regular Ki Blasts have no cooldown. So you are allowed to spam Ki Blast until your fingers fall off. On top of all of that, you get a 40% health buff. We're still on the passive, by the way. We haven't even gotten to the technique. But that is just the passive that the Golden Frieza pass gives you. The technique, Great Death Beam, is a move that Frieza does where he swipes a cluster of death beams around the opponent, dealing massive ki damage. This technique also has a 45% cooldown, so if you somehow don't manage to kill with the technique the first time, you will definitely kill it with the second time. Now to the perfected stats. Golden Frieza has an A in melee attack, a C in rush attack, an S in Ki Blast, a B in Ki attack, a C in stamina, an A in Ki type, and an S in defense. Greeting time! The attainment method and time to receive an A respectively. The form is extremely easy to get for how powerful it is. The appearance though, I would give it an A, but that forced light purple skin instead of it just being your own character's skin brings it down to a B. It's cool that we got to keep our gem color, but why not our skin color as well? The passive gets an A as well. I really don't think I need to explain how fucking great these damn skills are again. And to perfect the stats, those can get a B. It's really good for a Frieza build because all Frost Demons really should be key spammers, but that stamina being a C, while canon, is diabolical. Overall, Golden Form gets a B. It's very easy to get and honestly the ideal path for Frost Demons, but now it's time to move on to what I believe is the ideal path for humans. The 5th gate path is called the Power Unleashed 5th Gate. You are now Might Guy from Naruto. You get this by finding and beating Rock Lee in South Earth. He doesn't really transform, so that should be simple. You then have to play an Osu-style minigame where you have to get a high score. It shouldn't be too hard. After that, you have to find and fight Might Guy, who does have a transformation, but it's still a boss fight. And once that's done, you now have the power of youth on your side, and can induct Code Green on those that are less fortunate. The appearance for this form is you get reddish pinkish skin and a green aura around you. You also lose your pupils because, well, it's the fucking 5th Gate limit. Lock the fuck in. This path, like Golden form, is extremely easy to get. And the only difficult time that you'll probably have is if you have a skill issue with defeating bosses or you've never played an Osu style game. The passive, Chakra Release, gives you a 15% boost to all type of movement speed, and you have a 20% chance to apply the Dampen debuff on those that you hit with a knockback skill, or just any type of knockback. This disables all skills for 7 seconds. Plenty of time for a turnaround victory. The technique is literally Hidden Lotus. You teleport to your opponent, kick them up into the air, and beat the ever-living piss out of them until you eventually wrap them up in bandages and punch them down one final time. This is a really good finisher, and hell, can even be a combo extender at times. That, alongside it being a 60-second cooldown, and yeah, this technique is goated. The perfected stats are S in melee attack, S in rush attack, C in ki blast, C in ki attack, A in stamina, and B in ki type. There's also an S in defense, but that's for all path forms at this point. Now, on to the rating. The form is simple and easy to get and can be done really quickly. Those, alongside looking like the 5th Gate ripped straight out of Naruto, earn the obtainment method, appearance, and time to get all an A. The passive and technique also get A's because of how offensively based and the path is, and you can apply the damping debuff on knockback. Easy A. Now, you'd think I'd give the perfected stats a B. Nope. This gets an A as well, because if you pick this path, you aren't using ki moves anyway. This thing has S-grade melee and rush damage. If you don't go pure melee when using this path, something is wrong with you. This is the second path form that has received a perfect score in my book, and hopefully it keeps getting justice when Path 2 comes through. Now, it's time to move on to the last path of this video. The Rebirth path is really nothing much. It's just Cell, but he decided to become a Super Saiyan God. It's relatively simple and honestly kind of lazy in my opinion, but I'll grade it all the same. The obtainment method is really simple. Cell will acknowledge you as a stupid fucking clone and will challenge you to a fight. You beat his ass and he's salty, so he tells you to go kill 25 God Key trainees. Once you do that, you go back to kill Cell and beat his ass one last time to unlock the Divine form. The appearance of this form is literally Bio Android Perfect form, but red and with the Super Saiyan God aura. Not really much to go off of. The time taken to achieve this form is quick and can probably be done in under 20 minutes. It's really easy to do, and the only tedious part is killing the God Key trainees. The only thing different in terms of this and Super Saiyan God is the passive. Perfect Being allows the user to block ki attacks in return for getting a full restore on ki, and it also grants a 10% damage reduction. The techniques are literally the same as Super Saiyan God, God Regen, and God Bind. That's it, I'm not going over those again. The perfected stats are also the same as Super Saiyan God as well, except for melee and rush attack, those are swapped. So, C in melee attack, B in rush attack, A in ki blast, A in ki attack, B in stamina, A in ki type, and S in defense. The attainment method is really simple, you shouldn't have any issue with this whatsoever, so it gets an A for simplicity. Appearance though, motherfucker, that shit is a D. Couldn't even be original. Had to copy Super Saiyan God of all forms. Like, come on, dog. The time taken to achieve this form is also an A for the same reasons as the attainment method. The passives and techniques get a B for how good the passive is, but lacking uniqueness in the technique department, because they're the same as fucking Super Saiyan God. And the perfected stats also get an A for the same reasons. Overall, this gets a B, but I don't see any reason to go for this form unless you cannot find people to help you with the God ritual for Super Saiyan God. And that's gonna be it for the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to get me to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and comment down below on the forms that you all have achieved and what you would grade them. With that, I'm out of here, and I'll see you all when Path 2 drops.